Okay, I'm Miriam Brownlee, and we're welcoming Dottie Hennessy. So we'll be talking about the flood of Lawrence County, and you experienced what year?
Well, I think it was 1943. I was in high school.
What do you remember the most?
Oh, the most I remember that George Field was out at the Air Force Base, out on the prairie, and they had to bring in the Coast Guard, and we were in Girl Scouts, senior Girl Scouts, and they came in their uniforms in amphibious jeeps, and they rode through town on State Street, and we got to wave at all of them. Really exciting. But they came because the prairie was flooded, and they brought families into town, put them in the armory and different places, churches.
Okay. How was your family personally affected by the flood?
We really weren't. My dad worked in town, and we didn't have a car at that time, so we weren't going to go out of town. So our family really wasn't affected. I had grandparents that lived up near Flat Rock, but it didn't flood that far up. So, but it was an unusual time.
Mm-hmm.
War was going on, and it was soldiers coming and going. We had a curfew at night and blackouts, and but we were concerned about the families on the prairie, getting them settled, helping them out, getting food and clothing and bedding to them, making sure they had enough to help them out.
So did you know anyone personally? Like, did you have a friend or?
Yes,
affected?
we had several. That Catherine Thompson, and some of you may know Catherine. She had children and grandchildren that went to school here, and they lived out on the prairie. And it was hard for them, really.
Catherine Thompson, is a farming family, right?
Yes.
In this area, was how do you know of how her family's crops were affected? Was it completely
Everything
was
gone.
just gone?
Yes.
So everything was, pretty.
Yeah.
It was just destroyed.
Oh, yeah. It was bad. The rumor was that there were levees on both sides of the Wabash, and the rumor was that they deliberately broke through our levee, the levee on our side, on Lawrence County side, so that Vincennes wouldn't be flooded.
Really?
So now that was a rumor.
The rumor, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I never found out if that was really true or not, but I could understand, really, because ours was all farmland.
Yeah.
So,
And whereas Vincennes is more of a,
well, yes, it would have been right downtown.
bigger town. Yeah. So do you know how often the area flooded? Like, so during your lifetime, how many times do you think you've experienced a flood?
Well, as I recall, for a couple of years it flooded, not that bad, but I remember one year we couldn't go out of town for prom. We always tried to go out of town for prom. And all areas except going west, and who wanted to go to Bridgeport, so but all entrances were in town. We could go out a little, but not very far.
Wow.
So that was pretty often. I would say every couple of years back then. And maybe it was because they hadn't fixed the levee yet. So
they actually put it off. They didn't fix the levee right away.
They probably couldn't. I imagine it would be after the one in 43, I would think that would be very difficult to get it built up again.
Do you have a memory of how high the flood actually got? Like if it was, 5 feet or?
Oh, much higher.
Okay.
Well, I recall especially at O'Neill's, because we were so
Mhm.
disappointed about our pool being
Yeah.
gone. It came with later going when we could get to Vincennes. You could see the water line it came within a foot or two of the roof of
Really?
that building. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's
it
pretty
really
high.
was.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's hard to
Oh,
imagine, I guess, for
know.
us because I mean the younger generation we haven't really experienced a flood.
What
So-
was the last one we had?
Mm.
2008, was it?
Sounds right, but it wasn't
And
really
it was,
that deep, you know,
Right.
it compared to what happened in the 30s and 40s. So what we're saying is that the flooding has probably been more severe in the past than how it is
oh, I think so.
currently.
I think they've been able to keep up with the levees and keep them higher. And we just haven't had that much rainfall until, well, in 2008, that
Yeah.
was bad.
Mm-hmm. And we had the
And the
drought.
levee did break a little
Mm-hmm.
then. And yes, then the drought,
Mhm.
of course, it makes it worse. But,
Yeah.
but no, not near as bad as it was. They just didn't have the equipment probably at that time to take care of it.
So do you think now the residents of Lawrence County, do you think we're more prepared, or is it about the same, or is it worse than how it was?
No, I think they're more prepared, especially the people that live on the prairie. They know what could happen.
Mhm.
And although there's still some that decide not to leave, you know, and have to be voted out. But I think we're more aware.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Mhm.
I think that I know just me growing up, you hear more about how to, just deal with what's happening and how to help everyone around you. One thing I did want to ask you, was it difficult for everyone to return to everyday life after the flood dissipated, or?
Well, I'm sure it was for the ones on the prairie.
Mhm.
And but we were lucky to really have had George Field out there. I don't think George Field flooded. I think when they built that, they knew it was in a floodplain and they built it up so it wouldn't flood, and that was the reason they could bring in the Coast
yeah.
Guard.
Mhm.
But the families, I think there were probably more farm families out there than there are now.
Mhm.
And just really hard for them. I mean, it would be terrible to have to leave your home and
Yeah.
come into town and sleep on a cot.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a hardship for, everyone, even it's kind of an inconvenience for those who lived in town, you can't, like you were saying, you had to
Right.
go out east and you couldn't go anywhere
Couldn't
else.
go anyplace.
So, yeah. Is there anything else you would like to share with us? Any memory or?
No, not really. It was just an exciting time, but a bad time.
Mhm.
With the war going on, and then this big flood that came, our scout troop would go out every once in a while and sing for the soldiers, the Air Forcemen that were in the hospital. And the USO was in town, and our senior class or scout troop could go up once a month, I think, with highly chaperoned, and go to the dance at the USO. But we were very fortunate to have all that help from the Air Force Base to come in with the flood
Help you
and
guys,
take care.
yeah. I'm sure it was a blessing and, a time of struggle, so. Well, I want to thank you for coming and
Well,
talking
I
with us.
enjoyed. I appreciate your doing this.